and walk into her, right? You do have to play a little bit more, yeah, you do have to have a little bit more swagger with your movement, like you were saying. As the Orianna, but if you watch a good Orianna, they're just as good at it, because if they keep you like this, it's pretty much impossible to win this matchup. But that takes such good mechanics to actually keep this tethering extremely tight, right? Does that make sense?
How would you go about abusing Cassiopeia? Because I know I have problems with her sometimes.
I mean, it's the same stuff, but there are micro things for individual champions, which you can talk about me later, but I'm not going to put that as part of the lecture about individual matchup knowledge. But these same ideas apply no matter who you're playing, right? If you stand on the edge of her range, and then she throws a Q and it doesn't hit you because you had a rage, or she throws it on the wave, her circle dims, you have an opportunity to kill her, right? Or to pressure wave or whatever, you have an opportunity. So just keep looking for opportunities through these concepts.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Okay.
If I were to practice tethering for the next 50 games, just to really try and get good at it, how do you set up how do you practice it?
The best way to practice these kind of things are to actually like find somebody that you can go practice 1v1s with, and just find another mid laner like in your general elo range and say, all right, I want to practice the tethering for this matchup. And then that way you guys can experiment. You can say, okay, well, what's the range for this ability? What's the range for this? And then you guys just practice this dance, right? And you think about, where should I be stepping? When we're practicing things like game knowledge and macro, it's a little bit different than micro, because micro we can just go and drill, where macro we actually kind of need to feel it out as we play. So you can also just practice this while you play. As long as you're being cognizant of it, as long as you have intent, again, that's what we were talking about earlier, if you have intent to what you're doing, you'll be able to look back and say, was this good or bad? Regardless of what happened was good or bad, as long as you had intent, you learn and you're a better player after every single game, right? So, if you want to be really efficient about it, find somebody to practice one-on-ones with. Otherwise, just be intentful, have intent, have intention before you make a play, and you will get better, right? Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Alright, any other questions before we go to the next slide? I'm not even sure what the next slide is.
Can
oh yeah,
I
the
ask
next slide is
something
just
about
examples.
that?
Yeah, sure.
Like, really quick.
We're just, okay, I'm opening up to all questions now, because we're pretty much done. We'll take 10-15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So
like,
go
I
ahead.
just wanted to ask, like, so, is that related to, like, because I'm an OTP, like,
Anybody want to join?
I wanted to make like a Google sheet for like every matchup in like mid lane, I guess, and like go in like specifics, like, or like how to play the matchup through like waves, or like, let's say my win wall, how I can use it, or like that, I guess, or like how I can manipulate the wave in those certain matchups, I guess. Is that a good idea? Like, or...
One more falling star.
I think you're like, cut off.
Yeah, we lost.
Hey, Andy.
Who's afraid of a little villainous insurrection?
I know he said something about taking 10 or 15.
Hey,
Yeah, like...
oh, he said
just get laughed off, right?
Yeah, it's
A lot-
an awkward time again.
You're laughing
A
so
lot of
hard.
times, if you try, a lot of times try resetting your mic in Discord, like swap it to default and then swap it back to your
like
mic, or
even,
just disconnect and reconnect.
If you, yeah.
Yeah, your mic cut off like mid, like while I'm asking you, I guess.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
Hey,
I kicked the cord, and it was not...
Oof. Yeah, it was the second.
at least you didn't kick the bucket.
Okay, yeah, true. Anyways, Fog actually did something like that for Tryndamere matchups. Where he actually has like what you should do for every single Tryndamere matchup. My answer was I don't really know. It like what works for some people does not work for other people. So I would just try it out. Try it out for a couple matchups, and if it helps you, like awesome, right?
It's like one thing I'm trying to do is like, especially like playing the wave state, I guess. But the problem with that is like that it depends on the jungler as well. Like, I'm obviously not gonna play the same way like with a Lee Sin
Exactly.
or like an Evelyn.
Yep. Yeah, beautiful. And you should,
Dark days ahead.
if that helps you, yeah, you should. We should think, well.
I think your mic got off again.
What is happening?
Oh, it's
don't
you
know.
now.
Discord's being sus.
Happening.
And the inside.
Discord is being a bitch.
Yeah. I think just connect and reconnect maybe that might fix it. I'm really not sure. Discord being Discord.
Well, we gotta go back to the old school way. Everybody want to go to Skype?
Everyone, textbook.
Team
Bring it.
speak,
Yeah.
Bring out
anyone?
your textbooks.
Are we Zoom meeting? Zoom meeting, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom.
I wish it was Discord's fault. It's his dad's
Team speak.
cord for this microphone. If I move at all, my microphone like. It just
I have a question. Do you have a blue Yeti?
Yes.
Yes, I have the
Oh
same
my
issue.
God.
If I even touch the cable, it disconnects my mic.
Wait, I wanted to buy a Blue Yeti. Is it not
Get a
good?
turtle bait.
You can fix that problem. There's some types of cables. It should be a micro USB, correct?
Yeah.
Good as subjective.
There should be some type of cables where the micro USB is just a little bit longer, where it fits snug on there. So even if you move the cable, it'll stay there.
I need to invest in that because oh my goodness, this is getting obnoxious.
Bro, my mouse cable and my mic cable run next to each other, so a lot of times when I do quick movements with my mouse,
Oh my
it'll cut off my mic.
Yeah, that's awful. Okay, questions. How are we feeling?
Wait, yeah, what do you think about them?
Yeah, I
Talking
think
about it, just-
I think you should try it, but I mean, different things work for different people. I have a plan for every single matchup before I go into one, but I've never felt the need to write it down, right? Because I just think, well, this is whatever. But if it helps you, yeah, so I would try it out.
Yeah, but like, is there for you? I guess like, do you ever think like in different matchups, like how you're gonna play the wave? Like
Yes.
maybe like you're gonna third wave do that? Or...
Yes. For every single match, though, and that's something that I talk about a lot, especially with the higher MMR players. So I'm really big on dominating lane phase in solo queue, because lane phase is the part that you have the most individual control over, and it's the part that you can also improve the easiest because that's the most independent part of the game, right? So when I talk to like high elo players, when I talk to like Plat 2+ players and I'm coaching them, this is like all we talk about is like the first 3 to 6 waves, right? And how you can dissect that for every single possible matchup, right? So if I'm playing like, I don't know, if one of my champions, if I'm playing Annie into Zed, right? Well, we can think about what happens wave 1, who wins?
Annie?
Yeah, Annie wins. Really, you know what? Here, I'm gonna use a more common like mage, because then maybe this will be a little bit more. You could transfer this over a little bit. Do you guys want to do like Orianna? Does that sound good?
Chaos will reign.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
Annie was fine, but
Yeah, any. Let's do any.
Okay, let's do
Annie's
Annie.
fine.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. So as Annie, we have the range advantage, which means we win level 1 because he can't really step up. We just get to
I
poke
think
him a
level
bunch.
1
So-
and 2, right?
So we pressure, we poke, we pressure a resource advantage, and we also get wave prio, right? So if we do all this wave 1, hopefully we're going to be up a minion or 2, and if we're not, we're going to be up a lot of resources.
Ever think about old times?
Zed here just kind of has to concede.
Yeah, me neither.
On wave 2, what do we do wave 2?
Like
Level
also
2?
push
you
it?
get 2 first.
Yep,
So, like,
we get level
you
2
stun?
first. So, since we get level 2 first, we try to pressure all this stuff even more, right?
By the way, level 2 is like,
Every hero
is
has
that
a
like,
villain they
like,
create.
I know you get it at second wave, but like,
You get it the first minion of second wave.
yeah, and like third wave, I think? Or, like, level
Yeah,
3.
you get, yep. Yep.
That's
exactly.
a question on one of the quizzes, actually.
Yep,
Yeah.
I totally know.
Okay, so you get level 2 first, so you get to pressure all of this. Now, what is the wave doing at this point
It's
in the game?
pushing to him, like.
Yep. So we have this beautiful slow push building up. Now we have a couple of options. So this is kind of the first spot where this can diverge. Depending on the jungle matchup, depending on how fast you pushed or the interaction in the first wave, you have two things that could happen now. You crash either of these.
Or crash.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, so-
stuff or it's
So
gonna,
2
like,
or
bounce.
3 is going to crash. Yeah, exactly. So if 2 crashes, well, we have a line. If 2 crashes, we have options here too.
All this starlight is
If you
ruining
guys
my natural
like took a lot of big trades and that's why you're crashing too. Like you can actually cheater on 2 and be up resources. I don't recommend anybody below diamond doing this, but in diamond it can be a very, very cool way to get an easy lead. Otherwise, we just get a free ward, right? You get to go get a ward, and then you get to play with the wave in the middle. Awesome, right? And then we're up a little bit because we should be up CS or we should be up resources because of what happened. This is awesome. If wave
Can
3
I ask
crashes,
something else, cheater?
sure.
So, do you mean like cheater
I
at
feel
2?
like
Do you
these
mean
guys-
like
it's just
after
a
you
matter
crash
of
the
time.
3rd wave or the 2nd wave?
So cheater on 2 means after you crash the 2nd wave. But cheater on 3, which is the second option you have, if
yeah, I
this
find
3rd wave
myself doing
crashes.
that a lot, like the 2nd wave.
Yeah, which you can, especially as somebody like Irelia. Like I find myself cheating on 2 a lot because I'll level 1, like the first wave will be in the middle, and then I'll queue around a bunch. I'll get a good trade level 1, and then level 2, I'll go for a huge all-in with Q and E, and then the second wave will crash, but I'll like have no potions, I'll have no HP. We'll both be low HP. If you can cheater there, you're just winning one. Right? So cheating on 2 is hard, and I don't recommend lower elo players do it. But it can be a very, very useful tool if you can do it quickly and efficiently. And you know you're going to do it ahead of time so you can properly jump that second. Otherwise, if the 3rd wave crashes, you have very, very similar options where you cheater. Except if you cheater here, you're going to have like 350 gold. You get to buy a Dark Seal or boots or potions, whatever. Or you get to go help with Crab, get vision, take a good invade
Won't
or
you
2
have like
or whatever.
450? Like,
Yeah, it depends on how much you...
like
It depends on how well you CS.
yeah, because I usually play on cheater.
Yeah, it depends on how well you CS. Most people will not have 450. I will say that. But then, so one of these waves are going to crash, and if we think about the next waves, well, what are the possible options? What's the wave doing after the wave crashes?
Slow
What
pushing.
has friendship ever done for anybody?
There's a word for that. Say the word.
Bouncing back.
Bouncing back.
Beautiful. After you crash, either wave 2 or 3, the next waves are going to bounce back. And as the Annie, if the wave is bouncing back to us, playing against the Zed, what do we have to be really, really careful of?
Overextending.
Beautiful. Yeah, we have to be really, really careful of the Zed all-in and overextending and letting the Zed get a really good trade. So here is where we give up a lot of the... We be really respectful. We stand pretty far back. We don't let him do something. But we want to step into any space he lets us step into because we really don't want him to get a big slow push off. If he gets a big slow push and he's able to like slow push and build a giant wave to wave 6, what does he get at wave 6? Beautiful. He gets a roam. He gets a giant timer. Whether he roams or back to whatever, we don't want that. So we be respectful here, and we be respectful of the all-in. But if he ever uses an ability incorrectly, or if he's ever standing too far off the wave, we walk up, we try to pin it, we don't want this, and we slow pushing that big at us. And this is how the matchup plays out. Whether this is Orianna or Annie, the matchup plays pretty identical. And if you watch high elo, this is how the matchup plays out. The first 3 waves, this is lane phase. This is how the game gets decided. If Annie gets a bigger lead in the first 3 waves than he gets in the next 3 waves, then typically Annie's going to win that lane phase, and vice versa. If nothing happens the first 3 waves and Zed's able to live and be even in CS, and he's able to get a big roam on the 3rd wave and get a lead there, Zed's going to win lane phase. Like this is when I talk to higher elo players, we break down every matchup for whatever champion they play, and we really think about it. If this doesn't work out like this, there are only 2 reasons why. And the first reason is because of some sort of interaction, whether it's like a weird gank. Yeah, whether it's a weird gank or like there's like a weird level 1 team fight. You do have to factor jungles into this. where like if they have an early game jungle that's gonna gank by 230, well, you have to crash wave 2. You're not really allowed to crash wave 3 because otherwise you're being a little bit too risky with the gank, unless you think you know better.
Wait, so something like a Shaco level 2 guy.
Yeah.
You crash second wave?
Yeah. You'd either crash second wave, or if you think you wouldn't be able to handle it, sometimes you even just concede, right? Because if you really think he's going to level 2 and you can't fight that one too, sometimes you have to concede. In this matchup, I would be fine with that. I would just stand carefully and crash this guy. Because I might actually kill them if they do it wrong, because you have this big fat wave. But if you're playing somebody like really weak, like KO, like yeah, you can't really do that.
Would it be worth freezing him on that bounce back?
No, because he will kill you. If you don't, you can't. Unless he's really bad. If he's really bad, you can. But he will kill you if you do that incorrectly. So that's really, really scary.
What about like any other matchup?
Maybe if you're playing like a bruiser with lots of HP. But any mage is going to get out. Well, you're going to get out traded. The question is, can you sustain through it? Any mage will not be able to. Assassins, this is like, so these different archetypes have preferred wave patterns. Assassins love slow pushes in either direction. If it's slow pushing towards them, they know once this crashes, they get the bounced wave. If it's slow pushing away from them, they know that they're going to kill you if you step up, and if you don't step up, they're going to get a really big roam timer, right? So this is like an assassin's wet dream. Assassins hate when the wave's just in the middle. Right, because they can't really roam, but they can't really step up either because you're kind of zoning them off with this wave pressure. Where control mages love it in the middle because for the exact opposite reason, they get to abuse their range, but they also aren't that scared of the gank and they're not freezing, so they don't let their lane just leave, right?
So would you just tether and try to thin the wave so they don't get a huge wave under? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. And if he ever fucks up and misses an ability, that gives us an opportunity to either use our abilities on the wave and fit it even more, and actually.
Your mic
cut out.
Yeah, I think he just took your
Cable issues.
Gave the blue Eddie the old boot.
Arrows, this is very common. Just saying. Actually, not very common. It just started happening recently.
Oh my god. Okay, I need a new microphone.
Can I show you
something real quick I'm like working on?
You said what?
Can I show you something that I'm working on, dude? Like,
sure. Maybe get some electric tape.
So I'm like working on this. It's like minion waves. Like 30 minutes. Like
where are you putting this?
He wants you to show you your screen.
Oh, I'm like, what? I'm so fucking confused.
Yeah.
I thought you were
like but there's something I don't understand that well. It says at like 15 minutes that it starts being every 2 waves.
I think that's wrong. I'm pretty sure it's at 20 minutes.
Oh, because on the wiki it says 15. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, I always thought it was 20 minutes, then it's like...
Up until 20 minutes, each third minion wave. Yeah, I mean, this says 20. This says 20.
Yeah, the wiki minion says 15, though. It's like...
Are you sure? I'm not seeing any 15.
Can I
So this is proworthy.gg.
Can you see here, I guess?
Analytics. This is fandom wiki.
Can you see this, or...?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I am on the same page. Oh.
I also thought it was like 20 minutes. Then it's all minion.
You can just go. You can just go check too. Like that was a recent
yeah, I'm
change.
trying that.
Go
like
practice tool.
But when you speed up like for like 10 minutes, it's not. I don't think it's accurate. Like not sure.
Just go into practice tool. Go make yourself some breakfast.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Just spend like 20 minutes in there. Like.
His mic cut off.
Oh my goodness, this is awful, dude. I need to go back to or a new cable. I think would fix it.
You're gonna have a
tape it down or something.
Yeah.
Taping it doesn't really help. It's the actual cable that's poor quality because where it plugs into the microphone, it just completely destroys the micro USB slot.
Oh really? Interesting.
Because of how loose the connection is.
Interesting.
Please don't cut this out of the recording.
We gotta keep all the microphone troubles in. Okay, so does anybody have any other questions? I mean, we talked about a ton.
There was a question that I asked earlier, and you said like we'll wait for the.
Okay, so I thought it was something about like what was the question? Oh yeah, it was like when can you freeze? Got you. Okay, so this is a really important question. This is kind of off base in terms of what we're talking about, but this is an important question in terms of kind of general game pressure and macro sense. Let's say we're blue side, and we're assuming we're blue side. If you freeze a wave here, what does your lane opponent have access to that you don't?
Roam?
Yes, they get to roam first. So let's like just have an example scenario. Your top lane wave is dead even, and these guys are dead even, and your bot lane is dead even, and your jungle, both jungles are just perma farming. If you freeze, how does this impact these lanes?
I think
So if
now
you
Puts
freeze,
pressure on him, right?
what is
the jungler
your
has top lane, I guess.
no? What?
You lose power, don't you?
Yeah, you have no priority. So let's say you have this freeze created.
No, I mean the enemy.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and you're just wrong. Why can't they just soak XP for a couple waves? Like, this is hard for a jungler to come do this. Like, jungles don't do that very often. Especially not mid, because these freezes don't last that long. But
wouldn't the side lanes have to give up cryo?
exactly. So if you have a freeze here, and your side lanes are like this, both of your side lanes lose. And let's think about this.
Mid has the first thing.
So let's say you create this freeze, and your top laner is like this, and he looks at your wave state, he's like, what should I do? Because we're dead even. He has to concede. Because in his brain, he's like, I can't do something that would just lose me the game if they capitalize on it. So I'm going to not lose the game. Even if we lose, whatever, the game's now in your hands because you fucked your laners for a small lead mid. So,
hey Jay,
hey, what's up?
We have a special announcement in your DMs.
Okay, awesome.
Let's go.
Show them. You can show them the DM. Fine, with the picture and what it is, and we're combining everything for bootcamp 2, bootcamp 3, so it'll be a longer one.
Okay.
Missions and everything.
I'll always take chaos.
Bootcamp 4. Beautiful.
Oh, that looks cool.
So fucking
Cygnus,
awesome.
can I say one thing?
Everyone who pre-purchases gets a specially designed role icon. Wait, that sounds awesome.
Hey.
Bootcamp 4 will be running from November 1st to the 7th.
It's like midterm for me.
Ooh.
It's Monday to a Sunday.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I mean, it's all in the app, so you could just watch it after.
Yeah, no.
I think for me it's more of the job thing because I'm not gonna be available, but I'll probably still buy it.
That's awesome. Yeah, bootcamp.
That's like prime exam week for me.
So when's the like pre-purchase like window, I guess? Cygnus here,
now.
like, did
You can buy it now.
Friend, how long is the pre-sale till?
Oh, he just came in here and said there's an announcement. Have fun.
Yeah, he just left.
Okay.
Let me
That's
ask.
fine.
I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
But you can buy it now. Like I see some people that have the role
Yeah,
already.
Yeah, I'm probably buying it tomorrow.
That's awesome. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Dude, he interrupted my flow, but whatever. Bootcamp 4, come back to more. Okay, we were talking about if you freeze here, in your top lane is thinking, well, I have to concede because I don't want to lose
Even
off of something. Yeah, well, in your bot lane too, and we'll get there, but I'm talking about what they're thinking. They're thinking, I have a dog shit mid, I hope he carries, I won't have him next game, right? So you cannot freeze in this example, or you will just have losing teammates. There are a couple champions that can freeze, and like, who are they? Do you guys know? No.
I'm gonna assume there's champions that don't do anything during the early game, right?
Yeah, it's like Kayle and Kassadin. Because as a Kayle and Kassadin, no. Because as a Kayle and Kassadin, you're thinking, I don't give a fuck if these guys are 0-100. Because I will 1v9. Right? That's not, other champions don't get to do that. So these champions get to freeze whenever they want. Other champions are not allowed. As Yone, if your bot lane's 0-100, you don't win that game. Right?
Yep.
So, and your bot lane is thinking the same exact thing. So the question is, when are you allowed to freeze? So let's, I'm gonna draw out 3 different scenarios. Let's say Both our side lanes are even. Let's say both our side lanes are applying pressure in blue. Can you freeze here? Can you freeze when both your side lanes are applying pressure?
No, you should push
No,
as well.
you also have to apply pressure. Can you freeze when your other lanes are freezing and they're under tower?
Yep.
Yes, because if you're pushing up when they're freezing, this is the whole conversation about tempo we had the other day.
Was it tempo or?
What is friendship ever?
Yeah, it was tempo and pressure.
I think.
Yep. So if you're putting pressure here while your opponents are here, well, they get free ganks on you for no opportunity cost. You're not applying pressure, you're inting, right? And it's the exact inverse is true as well. If you're here while both your lanes are here, you're not freezing and getting a lead, you're throwing your teammates, right?
If both your top and bot are freezing though, does that makes it an optimal time to just shove and roam though, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you can shove and roam. But understand
that's fair.
when you shove, you're going to get pressure from here. So if you can't afford that, yeah. So think about like if you're playing an assassin, sure, you might be able to get away with that. But if you're playing somebody high tempo or a scaler or a mage, yeah, you just fucking hold the freeze and you get to farm and it's beautiful and fun. And you guys get to scale until the next dragon fight or whatever. So of course, things like champion identity will always impact these decision making, and you think about the game first. Always play the game first. But you cannot just sit here and shove waves on repeat if both your lanes are just perma pushing the tower, because you will get burnt on, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Understood. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions?
Oh, get me out of there.
What about like,
I hate being
because
picked up in a jam.
like Drakes, I guess. It's like because sometimes you can't like go to the Drake and then like you're kind of forced.
If you can't go to the Drake, you can't go to the Drake. Don't force yourself to do things that don't fit in line with your champion identity, and kind of like you can't just walk blind into 4 of them or like.
That's
just
the
walk
compensation you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but like sometimes like let's say your bot lane jungle are already there, and they're like forcing it, I guess, and they know you can't be there, I guess.
If you can't be there, you can't be there. Like, it's not that hard of a question. They're gonna flame you, but whatever.
You guys hear me?
Sometimes
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes the answer to the question is you should have found a way to be there, where you should have done something with a wave manipulation and think ahead. But in the moment, if you can't be there, you can't be there. It is what it is. You look back and think, what could I have done the like previous minute? Because when dragons come, like especially when you're looking at like competitive play and stuff, if dragons up in a minute, everybody needs to be there, fighting for vision, fighting for both this wave pressure. Like that's kind of how it is. In solo queue, it's less extreme, but the ideas are similar. If you can't be there,
does top lane need to be there as well, or no?
It depends. It's completely situational. Sometimes you want them to apply pressure, so they pull things up here. Sometimes if it's a tank, yeah, you want them to be here, whatever. Sometimes both the top laners will just, they're both high tempo, so they just keep fighting each other. Completely game dependent. But if you are in a situation that feels uncomfortable, your job as the person who's approving is to think, how did I get myself into this situation? Because if you can't be at the dragon, you can't be there. If you can't walk somewhere, you can't walk there. It is what it is. Think about why. The why is so much important than what's actually happening. The game's easy. Just don't do things you can't do. Think about why you can't do them then. Right.
Yeah, so let's say like you're sitting on like 2k gold or like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you just reset instead?
Yeah, you have to reset way before the dragon spawns.
Your mic cut out again.
Yeah, your mic.
It's smaller than the diagram.
Barely.
Nice knowing
this is
you,
awful.
Mike.
This is awful. I need to go to Best Buy or something. Just like buy a microphone.
Ask Geek Squad. They'll charge you a nice little fee to fix it.
Yeah.
I got $200 minimum.
I might. I wonder. Is Arrow still in here?
No, he left. He just left right now.
Yeah, he left to another coaching session. Not like session, but yeah. Coaching.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna ask him if he wants to take over for like an hour, so I'm gonna run to Best Buy.
Oh, let's go.
Doing
I can tell him for you if you want.
Yeah, do you wanna go ask him, dude? That'd be sick. While we finish our questions here.
I have one question for you too before you leave, if you get a chance. So I was kind of curious about like the archetypes, just about kind of what their goals are specifically in like the early parts of the game. So like, what would you be wanting to do as an assassin versus like a control mage versus a burst mage, or like that kind of thing?
So in terms of the previous question, if you have that kind of gold, you need to reset like a minute and a half before dragon, so you can spend your gold and then start applying the pressure. Right?
So you have to like keep track of the.
Yo, dude, my mic is like the fucking cable keeps coming in and out, so my mic keeps cutting out. I really want to run to Best Buy, so in like 15 minutes, you want to take over for a while, and then I'll be back.
I'm doing VOD reviews right now. Actually, I'm already starting them.
Okay.
How long? I'll take over. Yeah.
Okay. How long are you doing it for?
I'll do them till 6, so we're good.
Oh. Okay. Holy shit.
Yeah. We're good. Don't worry.
All right, bet, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you can finish up your lecture. No worries. All right. Awesome. I'll be in the BC3 mid VOD review. All right. See ya.
See ya. Okay. Awesome. So he will be here when I leave, and then I'll be back before he's done. Alright, so in terms of champion archetype, let's just talk about it. Like, so assassins, that color. I wonder if yellow would look good. So assassins, what is their ideal lane stay? I mentioned it, can anybody tell me?
Slow push?
Pushing wave.
Yeah, they really like slow pushes. Does it matter what direction?
Not really.
They are.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter because if it's slow pushing towards them, what happens after that crashes?
Bounces back.
It bounces back. Beautiful. And then they get a slow push and they get a big run time. Like this is an assassin's wet dream. If there's just these beautiful slow like 3-wave crashes, like this is what an assassin wants. This is what they live and die for.
Wait, but shit. Because from what I know or my understanding, they hate being like shoved in.
No.
No?
Because okay, so if they're shoved in, not only does that mean they get to find an opportunity to make a play the next 3 waves, it also means they get to CS relatively safely, where they can't really step up here, right? So they love slow pushes
like
either direction.
Or something like.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. They don't want the wave to be in the middle. So if that means the wave has to slow push at them first, that's fine for them because that's worth it. Even if they lose a little bit of priority now, an assassin or like a mage roam timer is so much less valuable than an assassin room timer. They know they're going to get more value on their slow push. So if they want to build up 3 waves and they know that means they have to get slow pushed into first, that's so much better than just holding the wave in the middle for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like I asked like a Z name, like is like Masters or the GM I think.
Sure.
He was like I don't know if this is specific to us or not, or is it just a Z thing. Like he's like push him in so he can't like use his abilities on you, I guess.
Yeah, so you want to push him in, or are you talking about pushing in the Z?
Like let's say Yasuo versus Z and I'm like pushing the Z in.
Yep. So if you push him in and you slow push it, the next wave, he gets a huge opportunity to try to kill you, right? In that matchup specifically, it looks a little bit different because the Zed is trying to poke you down more than you're trying to hold you. But then he's not playing like an assassin. He's playing more like a poke mage. In which case, what do poke mages hate? What do they absolutely hate? Yes, poke mages hate being pushed in more than anything. Yes, beautiful. Yeah. So if he's playing like a poke mage, he's gonna hate the things poke mages hate. This is awful writing. Holy shit. So let's talk about poke mages now because that's a good transition point. What do poke mages like?
Like
the wave in the middle.
Yeah.
Almost. That's more of like a control mage thing.
Shoving it to them.
Yeah. They like when it just slightly pushes away, always. Like if a poke mage got to pick wave state, they want to push away always. What does this do? It lets them spend abilities on you without having to worry about the wave because the wave's gonna push anyways. They have so much range where like if we're red side as the poke mage, and we're like standing here and the wave's going away, they can stand really far back, so they still really can't get ganked, but they're still pressuring you. You have to step up the last of the minions, they get free poke and free poke, right? Like this is awesome. Plus they get kind of this priority, you can't roam.
If they know that people are like Dolphin or multi, they can just poke you on their tower.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So poke mages love the wave pushing away from them. If it's pushing into them, they're like, I fucking hate that. So yeah, and this is what I mean by some champions play like different archetypes.
Yeah, I didn't understand that except just now.
Yeah, right. So, and sometimes it's weird. Sometimes they'll play like archetypes you really don't expect them to. But yeah, Zed does play a lot like a poke mage in some matchups where his goal is just to hit you with 10 Qs, right? That's Xayah's goal too, right? Like that's kind of, yeah.
So are there going to
Would you
be
mind me
games
asking-
where Zed's going to play more like a poke mage and more like
Yeah.
a true assassin?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not all
Like
fixed.
this matchup. And you should know that, like, going into the matchup, if you're playing Yasuo, you're like, oh, he cannot assassinate me. Well, what is he going to do? He's going to do the other thing.
But like, I don't get that though. Like, why can't he assassinate you?
As Yasuo?
I was taking a nap.
I guess because wind wall, but like, you don't
Yeah,
have it
wind
that
wall
often.
and mobility, like, it's just incredibly hard to one-shot a Yasuo. Plus the shield, plus you can get shield dog, plus you can get lifesteal, plus you can flee half the time. You just can't really one-shot a Yasuo. At least not a good one.
Yeah.
So, if you play something like Fizz against like a very, poke mage like Xerath or, that sort of stuff, what would your game plan be in that situation? Since you don't really have that much agency, even if the wave is pushing into you, like say like on the turret, they can still harass you out of.
That matchup comes down to how effectively you can play off of the bounced waves. Because they're going to get the push on you and they're going to crash waves. But that next wave is going to bounce. You look to kill him because he cannot step up here. If he casts a spell, he just dies. Or so you like stand really confidently in this wave. And if he steps back in the spectacle, well, you get a roam time, and that's exactly what we want. So yeah, he is going to have times where he pushes you in. That's fine. You don't contest that. You concede that. And then you play it really, really confidently off the bounce wave.
So with that in mind, early game, is it okay for you to sacrifice like minions here and there, just so you stay
Always.
safe and?
Always as an assassin, right? So we'll watch assassins and we'll know they lose like level 1 and level 2. If you watch High MMR, like you'll watch these fucking 1000 LP Korean, Chinese, and Tiana one tricks. They'll give up like half of the first wave just to be healthy, and then they will kill the person on wave 3 and wave 4 that's bouncing, right? That's 100% perfect. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. So control mages, where do control mages want to play the wave?
In the middle.
They want it right in the middle. A lot of people, this seems to be the one that people understand like least intuitively, because people will tell me literally everything. They'll say, oh, control mage, they want the wave to...
Your mic.
We lost you first.
Your mic is so funny, actually. It didn't do this yesterday. It's weird.
Yeah, it's giving up.
Fuck. Okay.
You have a GoFundMe?
Okay. No, I'm just gonna run the Best Buy after like 5 minutes. Control mage, middle. A lot of people will tell me a lot of different things, right? They'll be like, oh, we want it to freeze so we get to poke. But what happens if we freeze? We just talked about this.
He's gonna kill you.
You get poked.
He's gonna roam.
Well, you
Or
give
roam.
up all the priority. Yeah. And then some people are like, oh, but control mages have the range advantage. You want to poke on your tower. But what happens if you push the whole time?
You get murdered by the jungle.
Yeah, you just get fucking ganked by jungle support top. You just die. In the middle, you get the best of both worlds, right? You get to use your range advantage to poke and deny CS. You're also safe from ganks because you get to stand back here because you have your range.
Oh, I thought we were talking about playing against control mage.
No, this is how control mages want to play the wave. So, it's very important to know how they want to play the wave, because let's say we're a control mage versus an assassin. If you watch High MMR, you can abstract that match out regardless of the micro and what actually ends up happening. The whole battle is the assassin's trying to create slow pushes either direction, and the control mage is trying to hold it in the middle. Like, that's what happens. And if you watch High MMR, that's a lot what the matchup is. And assassins, like, they'll get tricky with it, right? Like, they'll stand, like, on the caster minions, and the control mage will want to poke. But if the control mage pokes the caster minions and hits everything, well, guess what? That's a slow push. Now Zed's ahead in wave management. He sacrifices some resources for the wave. Like, that's kind of some of the cooler, higher level stuff you start to see.
Is that something you'd recommend lower elo people trying, or?
You can try it, but just understand if it doesn't work for you, that's fine, and stop doing it. You can try everything. I recommend as long as you have intent, it's perfect to try everything. But if you're intentful, and he realized, oh, it didn't work. Well, stop doing that then, and try to accomplish that through something else. Huh?
I struggle to play versus like control mage.
Yeah, so you do not let them keep this in the middle. We just talked about that. So whether that means baiting them into pushing through something like standing in the wave, or whether that means you pushing it and sacrificing some health to push it, you want these waves coming back and forth because they hate that.
Yeah,
if they try to
freeze, then they just drink it.
Yeah, you don't. Well, as a control mage, especially as like Yone, if I'm playing Yone and I'm playing Orianna, I love that matchup. I first started playing Yone because he's way more fun to play in control mages than Tryndamere. So like into Victor and Orianna, I was just picking Yone every game, and I would love it because they would push in like wave 2 and 3, and then on this bounce wave, I would get so many kills because they cannot step up, and they just they want to thin this out so bad because they're just begging to hold this in the middle, right? So they step up and they overextend and they just die. They are not allowed to step up when you have this wave, right?
Yeah, I think knowing that and using that, then like I'm using that they can step up.
Yeah. Yep, so really be confident in those fundamental core concepts like the wave rush.
So how easy do waves stay in the middle? Because don't they naturally push back and forth?
I mean, yes, but you can manipulate them to stay in the middle, especially as a mage, right? Like if you're gonna, it's super easy to, if somebody's trying to hit it a bunch, you get to just counter hit it until it stays in the middle, if they punch, whatever. It's,
like,
I mean,
how long could
hard,
they
but
ideally do that for? Like 20 minutes?
Well, I mean, ideally you can do it for an infinite amount of time, but again, that's really hard. That's like saying how long can you hold the freeze.
Yeah.
Top lane, they last like legitimate fucking real world minutes. But mid lane, wave safe only lasts for 1 or 2 or 3 waves.
Okay.
You'd be surprised.
How do you even beat
how
a
long
Yone?
How do you beat a Yone? He plays a lot like Assassins. He likes these slow